Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our informational webinar on the newly established Youth Ambassador Rising Leaders program. My name is Natalie Joseph Pauline, Education Project Manager at the Tourette Association of America, and I will be your moderator for the webinar. During the webinar, we would be very happy to hear from you and include your voice in the conversation. You can ask questions or share comments using the question panel on the right side of your GoToWebinar player at any time. We will collect your questions and address them during the question and answer session at the end of the presentation. This webinar will provide information on the newly launched Youth Ambassador Rising Leaders program. The Tourette Association is very proud of the Youth Ambassador program, and since its start has worked to expand and strengthen it. The Youth Ambassador Rising Leaders program is for previously trained and experienced youth ambassadors as well as motivated young adults. This training will be held on July 12 to 13 at the DoubleTree by Hilton Orlando at SeaWorld in Orlando, Florida. We're very excited about this new initiative and are looking forward to meeting the rising leaders in the Tourette community. So the goals of our Youth Ambassador Rising Leaders program is to educate young adults from all across the country about Tourette syndrome. It's to spread tolerance and to increase understanding about Tourette. And it's also to aid youth advocates transition to becoming an adult advocate for their community. And so we've been getting a lot of questions from people like, what are the different benefits from this new program, from the Rising Leaders program? And there are a lot of benefits, but these are a few that we'd like to highlight. First, you're going to meet a network of people in the Tourette syndrome community. You'll be able to gain some professional and personal development training. You'll have access to different thought leaders across the medical, healthcare, education fields, and across even additional various other fields. You'll have the potential to mentor youth ambassadors, and you may even have the potential to get mentored by other people within the Tourette community. You'll be able to partner with the Tourette Association of America, and we will be looking to the rising leaders for many different opportunities. So that's something that we're really excited about. And then, of course, you'll have the opportunity to give back to the community. So what are some of the major expectations that we have for rising leaders? Well, as we said, the key role is to increase awareness and understanding about Tourette syndrome. We expect the rising leaders to practice what you guys learn in training, to also identify presentation opportunities in your community. But we also want you guys to identify different volunteer opportunities where you might not necessarily be doing presentation, but you still be spreading awareness about Tourette syndrome. And of course, when available, we'd like you to partner or work with your local Tourette Association chapter and support group. Some of the other expectations that we have for our rising leaders is to be an advocate on Tourette syndrome, and of course to learn about the different issues that might be impacting the community. We also might ask you to write short statements to explain how Tourette has impacted your life or the life of someone close to you that might have a diagnosis. We are really going to be asking Youth Ambassador Rising Leaders to leverage social media, particularly during Tourette Syndrome Awareness Month, but maybe during different times during the calendar year. You might have the opportunity to meet, call, or write to federal and local elected officials. There can be an opportunity for you guys to attend functions, to present short presentations on Tourette syndrome. We're really going to ask you guys to also participate in different public policy action alerts. And as I had mentioned earlier, we do want you guys to mentor youth ambassadors. So the major program requirement, or one of the major program requirements for the Rising Leaders program, is that you must be between 18 to 25 years old. One of the things that we've been hearing about how great the Youth Ambassador program traditionally is, but then once some youth ambassadors have gotten older, they've asked, well, what about some young adults? What are some young adult programming? And that's why we're really excited about this new initiative. Unlike the Youth Ambassador program, the Rising Leaders program, parents are not expected to be part of the program, to attend. If parents want to support Rising Leaders, they're more than welcome. But for this, we're giving the ownership more towards the young adults, and hoping to help you gain the skills that you'll be able to transition into adulthood. Similar to Youth Ambassador program requirements, you may or may not have a diagnosis of Tourette syndrome, but we do ask that you be willing to be a peer mentor to a youth ambassador. We ask that you have a clear understanding of Tourette syndrome. You will be trained. However, it's your responsibility to become proficient and to be comfortable with talking to the public about Tourette. Similar to that, you have to be comfortable with public speaking, possess good communication skills, and be willing to share your personal story with the public, but also with elected officials. We ask that you be a supporter of the Tourette Association at any level, and of course, preference will be given to people or young adults that really demonstrated that they've worked already on education and awareness of issues around Tourette. For the time commitment, we're asking that Rising Leaders commit to 1 year's schedule of doing presentations or volunteering, and we also ask that within that you dedicate at least 5 hours a month towards volunteering in any capacity. So we just went through the major expectations section. Like, this 5 hours can be maybe doing a social media post, or mentoring a youth ambassador, or doing a presentation. We understand that you guys do lead really busy lives, but we are hoping that you can dedicate some time towards working or spreading awareness on Tourette. So as I mentioned, peer mentoring is going to be important. I do want to add this caveat that we're still working out a little bit on what exactly peer mentoring entails. So I just want to let you guys know that it's still under development, but we will be working to release information next couple of months or 2 weeks. So there might be some changing information, but the idea is that we realize how important it is to kind of have that support within the community, especially, I'm sure many young adults have known that maybe having a mentor when you guys were younger would have been really helpful if you didn't. So we want our Rising Leaders to really give back to the community, and to give back to youth with Tourette. So that being said, we think that peer mentors can provide valuable support to youth with Tourette syndrome. You can assist them with just by listening, maybe offering words of encouragement, referral to resources, and maybe just guidance and support. And also the idea too is, as a peer mentor, you're going to be mentoring youth ambassadors. You might work with their parents, because again, these are young kids, so their parents are going to be involved as well. But again, we'll talk more about that in the future. Important dates for you guys to remember. The application deadline is Friday, May 17th. We will be holding an introduction webinar once we've chosen the Rising Leaders, so that will be determined at a later date, and we'll let everyone know. And for the actual training, Friday, July 12th is the arrival day, and there's going to be a meet and greet. It'll be an opportunity for you guys to meet other Rising Leaders, but to also meet the youth ambassadors. One thing that I didn't mention, but we're also excited about, is that the Youth Ambassador training is going to be taking place at the same time. So it's going to be great because you'll be able to see the new Youth Ambassadors, as well as the new group of Rising Leaders. So for funding, we've been really lucky that we have been able to allocate some of our portion of the CDC grant that we received to really support this new initiative. So Rising Leaders who are selected to attend the training, they will have the following costs covered. You will be covered for the hotel accommodations for the night of Friday, July 12th. Transportation costs up to $350. And any program-sponsored meals. So for the meet and greet, there will be some hors d'oeuvres, but also for breakfast and lunch on Saturday, July 13th, you'll be covered for that. And any program materials we will provide for you. Just so you guys know that reimbursement checks will be sent after the training. This may seem a little kind of very familiar to those of you who have been YAs because it's very similar. And then we will not cover any cost that's associated with hotel charges. If you stay an additional night, we won't be covering that. Here are some questions from the application. So I'll go very briefly, but if you guys have more in-depth questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions. But our basic idea behind that is that we really want to know what you guys, if you are youth ambassadors, what you have been doing since becoming a youth ambassador. So we really kind of want to know what presentations you have been doing, you know, what groups have you been presenting to. I think those type of things, just to kind of check in. For those who have not been youth ambassadors, we just want to let you know that's fine, that's okay. One thing we're looking forward to is reaching a new group of people we haven't. So don't feel discouraged if you have not been part of the Youth Ambassador program. But if you've still demonstrated that you're really dedicated to Tourette syndrome, that's great. This is an opportunity for you to share what work you've been doing around Tourette. So I'll let you guys read a little bit some of the questions that we have. Other than presentations, we're looking at your volunteer experience. We have questions surrounding what type of peer mentor you would be or you think you would be. And we also have questions on your personal experience and kind of what type of person you see yourself as. And then another thing that we're focusing on the application is your personal statement. This is really an opportunity for many of you if you've gone to college or you've had to apply for a scholarship in any way. I'm sure you're used to writing a personal statement. And this is just an opportunity for you to really share your story and kind of talk about why this program would be important for you and why you'd be interested in being part of this program. So now I'm just going to leave time for some questions. I'll give maybe just 1 minute to see if anyone has questions. So one question that a few people have been asking is the list of topics that we are going to be having at the Rising Leaders program. So one of the great things that we're excited about is that we had held a focus group with youth ambassadors to see what they might be interested in learning about. And some of the topics that they came up with is, of course, talking about different mental health issues between depression and suicide and talking about that, but also just talking about social media and professional development training, learning about disclosure and transitioning into college or the workplace. These are just a few of the topics that we're really looking forward to talk about, and something that we're hoping to do in the future, because there are many different people have many different interests, is that if there's not a topic that's addressed at the training, in the future we'll do webinar series so that we can really start to answer those questions as well. So one person had a question. So my son is a YA, he's in school now, so he's not on the webinar. He will be 18 June 2020. Can he apply next year before he turns 18, knowing he will be 18 for the 2020 training? That's a really great question. And I know a lot of my youth ambassadors who aren't 18 yet are so excited, and they want to know if next year we'll have it or if they can apply now. So unfortunately, right now, we are only going to accept people who can attend the training in July. But what we're really hoping, because this is a pilot program, that if we get enough success, and this is really great, that we can continue to offer this in the future. So that's why the rising leaders that we accept this year, you guys are great. You're the first class, but we really hope you do well, because we really would love to continue this program in the future. And that was from Mandy, so thank you for asking that. Hold on, let me see. Okay, someone else asked a question of, do they have to be a member of the Tourette Association to apply? That's another great question. To apply right now, you can apply if you're a member or not, but at the time of the training, what we ask you is we ask that you become a member by then. But for just to apply, you don't have to be. I'm going to give maybe one more minute to see if there's any additional questions. So Yvette asks, if we are not super involved with social media, is that okay? Yes, absolutely, that's fine. We know there are some people that social media might not be their strong suit, but we just ask that you guys, if there's something that you're strong in, if you prefer to volunteer, go to school, or just get engaged locally, that you do that. It's being involved in social media is not a requirement. That's totally fine, but kind of leverage your strong suits. So I'll leave one more minute for questions, and then if you happen to think about any other questions, please feel free to reach out to me, or the association will be more than happy to answer your questions. We received another question, which is really great. How many people do we plan to accept? Sometimes I hesitate a little bit about answering that question because I don't want anyone to get discouraged to apply. But as I said, this is a pilot program, so we're looking to accept around 15 people. But again, we want everyone to be open to apply. And if you guys have any additional questions, or specifically about the application, you're not too sure or what points or areas to address, just please feel free to reach out to us. So I just want to thank everyone for tuning into this webinar. It was short, which we really want to be cognizant of everyone's times. So thank you for your questions. We're really excited about this new program. We've been hearing a lot of great things from everyone since we announced it, and we think it's going to really do well. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free, as I said, to reach out to me. Joe Grappone, the chapter manager here at the Tourette Association, he's here too. So if you're a chapter member and you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to him. And we're just really looking forward to the future of this program. Thank you, everyone.